Bitch, man, I know you don't drink, but... Oh, all right. Fuck it then. I guess we're doing this.
Fucking 2 guys, 20 aims. You really think that's gonna go fucking well? Thanks, Todd. Fuck you. Here's to you, Todd.
Nice outside, Howard.
Thanks.
I was fucking...
Get me, Todd.
What?
If they didn't want us to fucking do all the fucking games, they shouldn't have made all the fucking games. Am I right?
You know what else? They should have
What?
made less. They should have made less games.
Yeah.
Silence!
Jeez,
God?
God, is that you?
No, it's Connor.
Oh, hey, Connor. Why are you
We
wearing
play
red?
games every Friday.
Yeah. I like
Twitch.tv/depressed to impress.
That's us.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's us. Okay, cool.
Why are you
What are
wearing
you guys
red, dude?
doing? Oh, it's really cold in my basement. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We're just bitching.
Yeah, pretty drunk too.
Yeah, Alex look fucked up, dude.
Not a good day.
Hey, fuck you, man. You're fucked up.
Hey, man. Not yet, I'm not. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, so we're canceling FreebieTV because Dishonored is long and we can't get to it.
Yeah, and I fucking hate it. I don't like
Oh,
it.
guys. I'll just do it.
You can
Yeah.
do it?
Yeah,
Here, you do this for me.
I'd do this for you guys.
Okay. Well,
right.
take it away then.
goes on!
The show goes on!
Hey, cheers! I don't know about the rest of you, but this stealth archer horse doesn't look dead enough. Guess I gotta beat it some more. Hey, are you tired of beating off dragons with a +2 mace in which you could just sneak up behind them and one-shot them? Just about done fending off extra-dimensional deities with their own entrails and instead want to serve one? Maybe you just got a little too into it describing your level 15 rogue trickster over dinner, and now you're stuck eating both parts of the 2 for $20 deal at Chili's? If so, you may be a match for the Dishonored series. The Dishonored series was published by Bethesda Softworks and developed by Arcane Studios. In the first Dishonored, you play as Corvo Atano, bodyguard to the Empress of Dunwall. You've returned home from a voyage abroad, seeking a cure for the plague your city is suffering from. Upon your return, you're framed for the Empress's murder, and now work for a rebel group, the Loyalists, to see the Empress's daughter Emily take her rightful place on the throne. I hadn't played Dishonored prior to it coming to Game Pass, so I knew nothing going into it, and I think that's why I enjoyed it so much. I wasn't sure if this was going to be a linear story-based game, or an open-world RPG adventure with various missions and tasks to undertake. Turns out the answer is yes. While you do have a specified goal at the start of every mission, how you go about attaining that goal is up to you. And to help you along the way, you have quite the arsenal. A dope-ass fold-out sword that looks like a butterfly knife. A handheld crossbow that shoots different types of arrows from the exploding kind to the sleepy kind. You have tripwire grenades that function like landmines that you can place around the map to slice your oblivious assailants to pieces. And for those sticky situations, your trusty shooty boy. These are all the mundane tools at your disposal, but they're kind of overshadowed by the fact that you're endowed with literal fucking magic by a supernatural entity. The entity is called the Outsider, and they exist within a dimension called the Void, where this world gets magic. You're initially gifted with the ability to teleport short distances, but as you collect runes from various shrines devoted to the Outsider, your repertoire expands. You want to see through walls? Dark vision. Want to have all these rats do your dirty work? Devouring Swarm. Feel like making the flow of time your bitch? DMT, I mean bend time. I'll admit the introduction to these abilities seemed a little out of the blue, but at the same time I didn't dwell on it because I was Nightcrawler now. Bamf. 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 There's also the mechanic that's known as Chaos, which is your reputation gained based on how you play. The more you murder to achieve your goals, the more chaos you cause. This affects the overall outcome of the game as well, with different endings that fit how you played. I don't want to ruin the story. I know it's a 9-year-old game, but honestly, it's a huge part of the experience and really adds a tension that I felt otherwise wouldn't be present. I will say that things tend to get dark, so be aware of that. Overall, I'd give the first addition to the Dishonored series 4 out of 5 Mitches and 3.5 out of 4 Alex. We're rating these, right? But Connor, Dishonored is a series. There's a second game. Don't worry about it, man. I'm getting there. Dishonored 2 takes place 15 years after the events of the first game. You start off playing as Emily, who has taken on the role of Empress and has seen Dunwall prosper under her. Your right to rule is thrown into question by a mysterious guest, claiming to be your aunt, and by lineage, the true ruler of Dunwall. And then it's coup time! Shit immediately pops off, and you're hit with the first decision of the game. Continue on as Emily, or switch to Corvo and live out the glory days of the first Dishonored. Really, this decision is about choosing which supernatural abilities you want throughout the game, and Emily has some new ones that I think are definitely worth the playthrough as her character. Outside of that and the story, the gameplay is pretty much the same. It's gotten a major graphics overhaul, and the combat gameplay feels much more tight and polished, but it's still the same slashy shooty as the first Dishonored. The one standout piece of Dishonored 2 was how well they thread the line between attracting new fans and keeping old ones. As an example, they added a whole tutorial segment for new fans that actually serves as a way to deliver some exposition from the previous game while showing off its mechanics, and it's not too bad of a refresher for some of the veteran players as well. What's that? Mitch and Alex aren't standard rating systems. Well, fuck. Look, Dishonored 2 is a great game. You should absolutely give this one a shot. If you liked everything that I had to say about the first Dishonored and what it had to offer, but you want something a little bit more graphically appealing, then Dishonored 2 has got you covered.
Let me rip this band-aid off now. I have a hard time getting excited about the Fallout universe. Or at least I used to. I bounced off 3 on PS3, then I bounced off 4 on PS4, and it's actually for a very simple reason. The beginning hours suck. Not only are you wading through slowly delivered dialogue and exposition, you already know what's going to happen anyway. You'll walk the line and go through the motions until the game dumps you out into the barren world in its self-masturbatory vault opening sequence. And that can be a slow process, even more so than in Fallout's sibling series, Senile Papers. But this time, with that knowledge under my belt, I vowed to push through and play the damn video game for more than an hour. And golly gee, 8 hours in, would you believe I'm enjoying myself? Now, I'm never going to be able to say I enjoy the setting of Fallout more than Elder Scrolls, as I'm a high fantasy fanboy. But what I can say is that there is way more creativity at play here than I thought. From the alternate history, which I love, to the incredibly unique NPC groups, which I love, to the absurdity of the player abilities, which I love. Fallout strikes a much more absurdist tone in its post-apocalyptic world than other games in the genre. Not to say it doesn't have emotional range. I mean, Jesus, your spouse immediately dies and you're motivated by the slim possibility you might be able to reunite with your son? Classic comedy, right? But really, charm oozes from every pore of this game. The special chart animations will never cease to put a smile on my face, and the characters do the same on a regular basis. Perhaps me enjoying this game so much is a lesson in setting expectations. When Fallout 4 launched, it was a buggy mess, as games of this size kinda tend to be. People struggled to run the title at 1080p 60 on some pretty serious hardware, and the ending choices supposedly felt like they forced the player to make decisions they wouldn't have if given the choice. Luckily, time, fancy new computers, and some mods have fixed most of these complaints. I had no major performance issues during my time with the game, was able to find an unofficial mod patch to fix a myriad of bugs, and another mod that provided multiple new endings to the game. Sadly, as I was restricted to the Bethesda mod store, I wasn't able to load massive amounts of texture packs to hide things like this. Good God, those are standard definition textures in a AAA RPG. And that brings me to my final point on Fallout 4. If you told me this was a half-ass remaster of a PS3 game, I would believe you. Compared to other RPGs of the generation, there is a clear and significant difference in quality across the board. Textures, animations, voice acting, player choice, it's all just not up to par at an objective level. But that all said, it's still got good bones, good ideas, and some great design choices. Creeping through abandoned cities while trying not to alert raiders is undeniably fun. I'd recommend this to anyone wanting a postmodern apocalyptic RPG more than high fantasy, because if that was what you were looking for, then what the fuck? You already heard that part of this review.
Story time. In 2016, I built my very first gaming PC. I hit the power button, and then I did some troubleshooting because I didn't know jack shit about computers at the time, and I pretty much still don't. Then, when I finally got it running, I downloaded Wolfenstein The New Order without hesitation and dove in for the first time. I was hooked. I absolutely devoured that game, twice. Now, in 2021, The New Order has come to Game Pass, and I played it again. The verdict? Still the undisputed pinnacle of Nazi blasting awesomeness. The story is captivating, the graphics are glorious, and the very first level of the game is absolutely packed to the gills with badassery. As if that isn't enough, it's also an emotional roller coaster. Within the very first hour of gameplay, you make a decision that sets the course for the entire rest of the story. This decision also happened to send me into a catatonic state on the floor in the fetal position, heaving and sobbing as I wallowed in an endless sea of doubt, regret, and existential dread. I loved it. If the New Order shows any signs of aging at all, I either didn't notice or simply can't bring myself to give a damn. If this 7-year-old game was released today, it would be a hit. No question. I want more. Thankfully, there's always the prequel, The Old Blood. This is for sure the strangest entry in the modern lineup of the Wolfenstein franchise. At the same time, it's arguably also the one that most faithfully channels the spirit of the OG Wolfenstein 3D. The Old Blood takes place in the Castle Wolfenstein, complete with Nazi zombies and a nigh-on uninterrupted stream of violence. Remember when I was talking about the New Order's captivating story? Well, that's kind of the trade-off. Don't get me wrong, The Old Blood's narrative ain't bad, it's just batshit wild, involving elements of magic and the occult that kind of seem a bit out of place in context with other titles in the franchise. Most importantly though, it lacks some of the more quiet and human moments that made its predecessor so memorable and special to me. It really doesn't have the depth of the New Order, but The Old Blood is not a story-driven odyssey. It's a quick and zany Nazi-killing romp. The whole game will probably take you somewhere between a mere 6 to 8 hours to complete, so who really cares? Not me, I just kinda want more Wolfenstein. So by now, we're left with Youngblood. This game is just so very adequate. That's it. It's all just okay. Now, Youngblood is meant to be played in co-op, so of course, much to his chagrin, I asked Mitch to help me out with this one. We're both Wolfenstein fans, we were both excited to play this on release, and of course, we've already played it before now. We knew what we were getting into playing this again, and we weren't looking forward to it. We didn't finish it then, and we won't finish it now. Youngblood left almost no impression on me at all, except for perhaps a vague memory of how cringy the twin protagonists can be sometimes, and a general sense of apathy regarding the whole game in general. Like, how is it possible for this game to be so very mediocre? How is it possible for the progeny of BJ Blazkowicz, of Terror Billy himself, to be so aggressively okayish? Todd Howard, help me understand. So that means I'm still left wanting. The addition of the original Wolfenstein 3D and the new Colossus would be nice, but there's still plenty to enjoy right now. So you're gonna stop what you're doing. Then you're gonna go download the New Order and play it. All of it. Then you're gonna go play The Old Blood, but like, whenever you feel like it, man, you know, no rush. Then you're gonna sit at your computer with the Xbox app open, staring at the download button under Youngblood's title card, crying softly to yourself, just wishing it was worth pressing at all.
Alright, so you're really gonna ask what was Mitch thinking on this one, because I already said I don't really like the Fallout games, and on top of that, I really don't like survival sandboxes. After Ark Survival Evolved shed 150 hours of my time through a crack in the game's earth, forcing me to watch my hard work plummet further and further away from the game world, falling, until I finally mercy killed that shit. I never looked back. Psst, I still miss you, Balto, but I can't talk about you yet. There's just too much pain. However, there are a few things about Fallout 76 that had me interested. First, the art direction was a little less ruined countryside and a little more abandoned and overgrown countryside, meaning there's actually shit to look at. Secondly, I could bring Connor along. I like Connor. He makes shitty things less shitty. And without him, I wouldn't have been able to make it through an hour at all. See, Fallout 76 strips away most of the stuff I did like about Fallout and only left its general setting and aftertaste. VATS in real time is a sham. Other players launching nukes makes no sense if you think about it at all, and is really just a big pain in the ass. The only thing they really brought in true to form was the building system. Everyone's favorite part of 4? Wow, what a staple of the franchise. We trekked around for a little over an hour, mostly just climbing over hills on the way to our first objective, placed almost comically far away. And a lot of objectives will be that way. This map is huge. If exploring a huge space is something you love to do, give this game a little extra consideration. But aside from fighting off NPCs on each trek, with combat that's worse than in 4, and spamming your way through dialogue options, with dialogue that's way worse than in 4, I didn't feel like there was a whole lot for us to do. So here's the thing. If this game type is your cup of tea, Fallout 76 actually has great production value. You'll have a good time. There's tons to explore, there are gimmicks unique to the franchise like the special perk loadouts, and the story is more coherent than anything else in the genre by several miles. However, if you're a Fallout fan with no interest in the open world multiplayer survival sandbox, don't play this. Play anything else. In fact, play nothing. Look at a wall. You're welcome. Oh fuck, I totally almost forgot to talk about Rage 2. I bet it gets that a lot. I'd tried it before and came away disappointed, but I came at it with renewed vigor only to have it crash harder than Paul Walker. I reinstalled to the same result, so I guess my initial impression is what you get. Hard pass.